My dad, being a pastor, me being a preacher's kid. My father was very...
Joel Osteen, one of the most recognized televangelists in the world, has built an empire of faith, media, and motivation. Known for preaching your best life now, his message of hope and prosperity has inspired millions, but also drawn intense criticism. From the outside, his world looks unshakable: packed arenas, best-selling books, and global television reach. But behind the polished image lies a story of humble beginnings, deep family faith, painful loss, and growing controversy. As personal struggles and public scandals mount, many are asking whether the Osteen legacy, built over decades, can truly withstand the storm that's now surrounding it. A childhood built on faith and family. Joel Osteen was born on March 5, 1963, in Houston, Texas, into a household where faith wasn't just a belief, it was a lifestyle. His father, John Osteen, a former Baptist pastor, broke away from traditional structures in 1959 to start Lakewood Church in an abandoned feed store. His mother, Dodie, was his steadfast partner, helping the church grow through prayer and compassion. When Joel's sister Lisa was born with severe disabilities, the family turned even more deeply toward faith healing, shaping the foundation of Lakewood's message. Their home was filled with both hardship and hope, teaching Joel that faith was not just for Sundays, it was a way to survive. This early exposure to resilience and unconditional belief would later define his preaching style, one centered on optimism, encouragement, and emotional strength. Lakewood Church. A dream. Born in a feed store, Lakewood Church began in 1959 with only 234 seats and a vision far greater than its size. John and Dodie Osteen wanted to create a church focused on healing, hope, and miracles rather than rigid doctrine. Within 2 decades, that vision grew into a thriving community of over 5,000 members. By the 1980s, Lakewood had become known as the Oasis of Love, a refuge for those seeking encouragement and spiritual renewal. Joel, however, remained behind the scenes, uninterested in following in his father's footsteps as a preacher. He preferred to observe, learn, and support from the background, skills that would one day transform not only Lakewood's reach, but its identity. Without realizing it, Joel was being prepared for a larger role that fate would eventually demand of him. From behind the camera to the pulpit after high school, Joel attended Oral Roberts University to study media, but he dropped out to help his father's growing ministry. In 1982, at just 19, he launched Lakewood's television outreach, producing sermons that reached viewers nationwide. For 17 years, he handled every detail: lighting, editing, wardrobe, to ensure Lakewood's message looked as good as it sounded. His focus on excellence helped turn Lakewood into one of the most polished and professional church broadcasts in America. But Joel wasn't interested in preaching. That changed in January 1999, when his father persuaded him to deliver his first sermon. Just 6 days later, John Osteen died of a sudden heart attack. Grief-stricken but inspired, Joel reluctantly stepped into leadership. His father's passing became the moment that pushed him from behind the camera into the spotlight, forever altering the course of his life. The meteoric rise of Lakewood Church. When Joel Osteen took over as senior pastor in 1999, Lakewood had about 6,000 members. Within 5 years, that number exploded to over 25,000. His upbeat, motivational sermons drew massive crowds and television audiences. In 2003, Lakewood took its biggest leap yet by leasing the former Houston Rockets arena, the 16,000-seat Compaq Center, and transforming it into a modern megachurch. The renovation cost nearly $100 million, complete with waterfalls, classrooms, and media studios. By the time the church opened in 2005, it was attracting over 40,000 weekly attendees and millions of TV viewers worldwide. Lakewood had become the largest church in the U.S., and Joel Osteen had become a global brand. His charisma, positivity, and accessibility redefined what a pastor could be in the modern age. The power of positivity and the birth of a brand. Joel's success skyrocketed in 2004 with his book, Your Best Life Now, which sold millions and stayed on bestseller lists for years. His style, more motivational than theological, made Christianity feel approachable to the everyday person. He stopped taking a church salary in 2005, relying instead on book royalties, speaking tours, and media deals. His empire expanded to include social media influence, merchandise, and international events like the Night of Hope tours. Together, Joel and his wife Victoria built a fortune estimated at over $100 million. But as his fame grew, so did questions about Lakewood's financial priorities. Reports showed that only about 1% of its $90 million annual budget went to charitable outreach, while millions were spent on media and production. To some, this was smart branding. To others, it was a betrayal of faith's true purpose. A love story that anchored his empire. Behind Joel's public persona stands Joel Osteen, his partner in life and ministry. Their story began in 1985 when Joel walked into her mother's jewelry store. They married 2 years later and became a powerful team at Lakewood. While Joel led from the stage, Victoria built the church's women's ministry, connecting thousands of women across the world. She later became co-pastor and author, with her book Love Your Life debuting near the top of bestseller lists. Together, they raised 2 children, Jonathan and Alexandra, who have also stepped into ministry roles. Through their music and leadership, the next generation of Osteens continues the family legacy. Their relationship, rooted in faith and partnership, has been a pillar through both triumph and criticism, showing that their personal bond is as central to Lakewood's story as its theology. The prosperity gospel, hope, or heresy? Joel Osteen's preaching style is often associated with the prosperity gospel, a belief that faith and positive thinking can bring success, health, and wealth. His sermons rarely mention sin, suffering, or repentance, instead focusing on gratitude, self-worth, and possibility. Supporters say his message brings hope and motivates millions to improve their lives. Critics, however, argue it distorts Christianity, turning faith into a formula for personal gain. Some theologians call it Christianity without a cross, claiming it skips the hard truths of sacrifice and redemption. They say it encourages people to blame themselves for hardship rather than accept that struggle is part of faith. Despite the criticism, Joel's approach continues to resonate. His focus on emotional upliftment makes church feel less like a sermon and more like a self-help seminar, a formula that has worked for decades, even if it divides opinion. Faith under fire. Scandals and scrutiny. Despite his popularity, Joel Osteen's reputation hasn't been without cracks. His response to Hurricane Harvey in 2017 drew widespread backlash when Lakewood initially closed its doors to flood victims, only reopening after public outrage. Financial reports have also raised concerns about how church funds are spent, suggesting a focus on image over outreach. Fellow pastors accuse him of diluting the gospel, and critics say Lakewood's lavish facilities symbolize excess rather than humility. Yet, through every controversy, Osteen remains composed, repeating his mantra of hope and positivity. His resilience mirrors the same optimism he preaches, refusing to be dragged down by criticism. Whether seen as a modern prophet or a media-savvy mogul, Joel continues to walk a fine line between inspiration and indictment. Legacy and the road ahead. After more than 2 decades at Lakewood's helm, Joel Osteen stands as both a beloved figure and a lightning rod of controversy. His message of positivity has touched millions, yet his approach continues to challenge traditional boundaries of faith. The Osteen family's reach now extends globally through books, broadcasts, and tours. As Lakewood moves into a new era, with his children rising in leadership, the question remains, can hope alone sustain a ministry built on such immense scale? Whether seen as a blessing or a brand, Joel Osteen's story is a mirror of modern faith, shining, complex, and deeply human. His life's work, born from a small feed store in Houston, reminds the world that faith, no matter how criticized or commercialized, still has the power to move millions.